Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Chatbots and Virtual Assistants Insights Tech Showcase. Before I hand it on over to Lenny, I just want to go over a few housekeeping things. First, we've got that chat box. Feel free to drop your LinkedIn, let us know where you're tuning in from, and then, of course, we've got that Q&A box. If you have any questions, you can drop them there, and we'll get to them at the end. Now, Lenny, I will hand it on over to you.
Thanks, Bridget, and hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this Insights Tech Showcase on Chatbots and Virtual Assistants 101. So I took a little different tack with this. This entire presentation was created using Copilot. Because I thought, it's probably time for us to actually experience some of this technology of AI, which obviously the emphasis here is on chatbots and virtual assistants, but the reality is we are talking about a specific implementation of AI. So my approach was to utilize the technology to see what it would tell me from a data standpoint, and then to synthesize that. You're going to see these are not the prettiest of slides. There was an awful lot of information, and it was curated, and that's the good thing. I did validate it and double check, and yes, most of it was appropriate. Now, that also means I'm not going to read out the entire slide because they are packed through. We're just going to kind of talk through it. So there we go. This will be I'm a cyborg today, right? It's the integration of chatbots and AI and human as we go through this. But first, the prompt that I used was, please present a brief history of chatbots and virtual assistants, and I asked it to specify it from a timeline standpoint. And here's what it gave me. And it was really pretty surprising to think about that the technology actually does go back to the 1960s. Obviously, it's become very sophisticated. And for most people, I suspect that when we think about this idea of a chatbot, it really does get to a kind of Siri and the modern era of an assistant, a digital assistant that we ask questions and it gives us information. Then certainly we have, Alexa and those types of tools. But where we are today is fundamentally there are advanced AI assistants, which is what ChatGPT and all the LLMs are. When we are interfacing with them, writing prompts and asking questions, they are chatbots. And that same technology is deployed within certainly within customer service and in other solutions, and has been for quite some time, but we're also entered into the era of utilizing it for market research. And they are growing in adoption. So this was not generated from Copilot. This actually is from the latest edition of Grit, and that will be out here very shortly. So it's a little bit of a sneak peek for you. And what we're looking at here are the technologies have had the greatest level of adoption from last year. And we're looking at it across different segments. So buyer research, traditional full service, traditional market research organizations at the client side. Buyer analytics is an emerging expanded category of research buyers that don't necessarily sit within the insights organization. They are more focused on outputs. They may sit within analytics. They may also sit in marketing or brand or product. And then our segmentation of the supplier community: full service, field services, qualitative research, strategic consultancies, technology providers, and data analytics. So just so you're looking at it. And let's zoom in on chatbots. Within field services and qualitative research and in data analytics, that's where we're seeing really significant growth. And that probably shouldn't come as a surprise when you think about a conversational approach. Even though it can be done at scale, it's not with one person or even with a group of 10 people. We can do this with 1,000 or 10,000 people at once. That is certainly where we're seeing the growth and adoption. So The next prompt that I used was asking, understanding basic use cases within the market research industry. Again, I'm not going to read these, but you can see some of the obvious examples. And as we look at the companies that you're going to see following my presentation and the industry as a whole in this growing category, we see for surveys, feedback, general data collection insights, automated interviews, qualitative research, behavioral analysis, segmentation, personalization. These are all use cases we are seeing these technologies being deployed in today. And the essence is that the interface, rather than a survey or even in a moderated session for qualitative, it is a chat with an AI system that is responsive. Often they can be kind of pre-designed to go down specific routes, but increasingly because of the advent of AI, we're seeing them actually responding differently, asking follow-up questions based upon the response in a very intelligent way, and then synthesizing that on the back end. So lots of use cases being deployed right now in the industry on utilizing these technologies. The next prompt I asked was for trade-offs, and I thought these were pretty fair. One thing I should point out too, it's not showing here, but in when utilizing at least Copilot, it does cite references. So there's a whole series of references. Many of them I was pleased to see were coming from Green Book content that are backing this up. But lack of human touch, obvious. We're communicating with a technology, with an AI, not with a human. I don't know about you, but even IVR and my first, well, not first, second job in research was working with an IVR company. So I get frustrated going through those solutions. I'd rather talk to a human in most cases, but the ubiquity of these technologies in almost every situation, it's kind of inescapable, even with the trade-offs of lack of human touch. Complexity, building something that is fit for purpose for research. There is an additional level of complexity in the design. Certainly, there can be privacy and security concerns if the technology is kind of off the shelf for building off of, let's say, OpenAI, for instance, and it's not the enterprise version. The responses are going back to feed the machine. The technology, as good as it is, doesn't necessarily understand context, nuances, sarcasm, things of that nature, where humans can. There can be personalization concerns, integration, ethical considerations. These are all things that we need to be thinking about as we are deploying these technologies overall. And some tips for implementing. And I think these were, so this was the prompt. Give me some tips for implementing chatbots. And that should be virtual assistants, not incentives. My apologies for that. I just realized that's what it said. Although shout out to our friends at Virtual Incentives, who are a provider in the research space. Like with anything, these tips are the same regardless of testing any new technology or approach. Think about the objectives, test the platforms, find the right solution. What's going to give you not only your short-term, meet your short-term needs, but also longer term. Are you thinking about integrating with other sources on the back end? What does that look like? Is it a series of APIs? How easy is it to integrate that? Understand that the technology is going to continue to advance on a regular basis. So what are the updates? How are we incorporating more advances in natural language processing? And then going through this process of testing and refining, doing kind of live A/B testing, ensuring that we're addressing any privacy and security concerns. There are different laws in different countries, particularly in Europe, on utilizing some of these technologies. Last I looked, I think Italy particularly had some pretty restrictive covenants around the utilization of AI. But this is all happening. It's coming. And we cannot afford not to test and start pioneering and working through these things. It may not be time to make a wholesale shift from a traditional survey or traditional qualitative approach, but that time is coming where this technology will be mature enough and it will unlock more capabilities that we should be experimenting with these things now. Of course, the companies that you're going to hear from today and others that will continue to evolve and advance and innovate will be your trusted partners in guiding you through this. They're going to do a lot of the heavy lift from a technology standpoint. So that's why they exist. So work within the partner ecosystem, folks, to kind of take the worry off of your plate in how these things are designed and how they're implemented, so you can think more about impact. And final slide, measure that impact as you go. So this is critical as we are transitioning, and anyone who's been around the industry for a while will remember all the side-by-sides that were done as we switched from telephone to online, and even then between different sampling methodologies of online, of panel versus river, as we were moving into digital qualitative early on, before we kind of went through that abrupt shift in 2020 due to necessity. Lots of side-by-sides, lots of metrics were predefined, getting a handle on things. I think that we may have had a little more time to go through that in the past than we probably do now, just based upon the speed of societal adoption overall. But I encourage you to think about the metrics that matter. There's a few that I hear that are really important, particularly for, let's say, quantitative engagement, completion rates, conversion rates, response times. I hope that we will create a better respondent experience, and we'll see those things get better. But we're going to want to pay attention to that. Qualitative, again, is it a better experience? Is the trade-off of the efficiency and speed, is that better than we're talking to humans? There's certainly evidence to say that, let's say, sensitive topics, chatbots may be a better thing. People can maybe feel more comfortable talking about things that are of a more sensitive nature with an automated solution versus than with a real human. Just figure out what's important to you, to your business, to the study objectives. Think about those up front and measure that as you go. Ultimately, it's going to be about delivering the best quality information at the best price and at the speed of business. Those are the three drivers, and define what the subcomponents of those are as you're going through this process. So in the past, I've kind of run on and on. Like all things utilizing AI, not only was it more efficient to create this deck, it's also been a far more efficient and focused use of my time. So that's it. You'll get a copy of this. I think that it's a really useful primer. Last tip would just be to kind of beat a dead horse. You got to start testing this, guys. We cannot wait. We cannot afford to be slow adopters. The time to begin experimenting was last year, and if you're not beginning now to catch up and implement these technologies and seeing how they can drive greater business impact, then it's going to be really difficult a year or 2 years from now, when my prediction is that these tools are the standard for how we engage with respondents and collect information. And I think that the survey and other forms of qualitative research will continue to exist and will continue to be used, because it's going to be the best approach for very specific objectives. But my prediction is, for the bulk of what we utilize surveys and qualitative research for today, it will be delivered via these technologies. And we'll reconvene in a couple of years to see if I'm right. But that's my read. So set objectives, understand how you're going to measure it, and begin the planning and testing. And the companies that you're about to hear from would be really great options to talk to figure out how to get ready for this rapidly coming future. That's it for me. Enjoy the rest of the tech showcase. Thank you as always for your time.